Oh,
Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. Y'all know me, Nathan Schwartz. Joining me from New Zealand, Dylan Williamson. Dylan, how's it going?
good afternoon, Nate. As I've been struggling to figure out what I'm supposed to do during the intro music. Like the natural tendency is just to like get a little jiggy with it. And I'm like trying to think. I haven't watched enough of like what does Bill Simmons do when he like plays Pearl Jam in the video podcast? Do they just go the logo, or is he just sitting there going?
I have no idea. I'll be honest. I don't watch podcasts.
Yeah, I know.
I I listen to podcasts as I'm up and about my day,
Hmm.
and I feel like every podcast I listen to somehow discusses like the fact that they're on video, and I'm like, do people actually care? I guess the No Dunks guys, they've got the whole stream team because they're live doing podcasting, and like maybe that's just what we need to do. Maybe we just need to pivot into being live and like let the
Hmm.
questions flow, let the people know, hey, 8 o'clock Sundays, sometimes Mondays, we're live, we're working this out. We're
Sometimes 6 o'clock, sometimes.
yeah.
But I think I've got the answer. It's when you're watching like the news, and they like go to like they like pan into the newsroom or whatever, to the main desk, and the guy is just like shuffling papers. I think that's what I've got to do next time.
Just
Is I've
shuffle
got to
papers.
I've got to have some stats on hand that I'm looking through as the music plays, make it look very professional.
Well, I don't know if they still do news in your country. I'm pretty sure ours has just evolved into being like TikTok feeds and Philip DeFranco. But yeah, I'm sure that will work out great for you. Just shuffle those papers.
Hmm.
But speaking of
I was,
shuffling papers, Nico, who the Dallas Mavericks have shuffled some papers on Nico Harrison's career. He is now no longer running their front office. Just 9 months after the Luka Doncic trade, do you think those two things might have been connected?
No, and I think it's very unfair that they fired him when actually they would have been championship contenders if it wasn't for injuries. They didn't get a chance to see whether this heavily old and injury prone nucleus that he put together. We never got to see them healthy, and so I think it's a little unfair to fire him just because Anthony Davis was injured the entire time.
Yeah, I actually will say this. I feel like you and I came into this year with a somewhat realistic expectation of them being around 500 at the end of the year,
Hmm.
with the like full knowledge that hey, they were going to suck at the start of the year. They needed Kyrie, and I guess you were lower on Kyrie's return, and what that might do for them. But like, you couldn't have started off this year thinking they were going to get off to a great start. This is worse than I would have thought. But like, you had to expect that they weren't going to be good.
Yeah, but I mean, like, sort of thinking it through, I didn't think that second to last on offense was where it was going to end up. But Clay Thompson being entirely washed, them, D'Angelo Russell basically being washed as well. It's kind of hard to come back from. The idea I had is that they'd be bottom 10 on offense, but you know, top 10 roughly on defense, and then that would work out. And like the defense has been pretty solid. They're currently top five on defense, but just second to last in the entire NBA on offense. Worse than the
Yeah.
Wizards, worse than the Nets.
Hey, you remember my games list for last week,
Mm.
where I put the Nets and the Wizards its game for my Sunday game. So, that it was a Sunday game meant I watched it this morning and while riding on the bike. And I gotta say, maybe it's just the biker's high, but like watching Chris Middleton hit turnaround fadeaways while down 20 points in the fourth quarter, whew, that's a watchable offense right there. That was enjoyable.
Mm. Mm. Um, if you're the Mavericks decision makers, where do you go from here? If it's up to you, is it blow it up and build around Flag, or is it try to see what try to see what Nico was thinking?
So I think you definitely feel out the market. The thing is I don't think the market's that good. I think it's gonna be a pretty poor market. So if you're not gonna get much for the return of Anthony Davis or Kyrie Irving, I actually do think that you pivot back into just trying to see it out, trying to give it till next year. In one case, just to rebuild some of these guys' values, and in the second case, why not? Like, if you have a healthy Kyrie and a healthy Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flag in his second year in the league, especially after what I'm going to assume is going to be a pretty good draft pick this year, like I don't know. There are worse team constructions to try to go to the playoffs with. Like, if you're not going to get good value for them, just just try to run it back. Is where I'm at.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that there's a very robust trade market for Anthony Davis. And part of the reason, beyond the fact that he's underperformed his contract and he's very highly paid and he's always injured, is that the new CBA makes it quite hard for good teams to make trades where you get these apron restrictions where you can't take back more than you're sending out. Um, the exact type of team that would make a trade for Anthony Davis is probably a team that's already expensive because they're already trying to win now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been having some discussions about past eras of the league, and like before the salary cap was really as a fixed as it is now, before the second aprons and whatnot, you could finagle a way to get Anthony Davis. Like most teams can figure it out, and
Mm.
with Brooklyn hanging out well below the tax line, and Brooklyn can be a dumping ground of a lot of contracts. I think they're actually below the cap line, so like they can easily take on some money and reshuffle things. But I think having looked at some of the trade options, unless Dallas wants to like bolster San Antonio or Houston, it gets or Oklahoma. It gets really hard to try to
Or
find a team that has the contracts and the assets. And it's like, man, I don't know if you're Dallas, if you want to boost Oklahoma, San Antonio, or Houston, like that just feels like the worst possible options.
or how about the Lakers? Do you think he could fit in well there?
I don't think they have the contracts to send him back. The Lakers are
As
in.
Anthony Davis for LeBron, phone it in.
God, I would, I would do that in a heartbeat. You know, Aaron texted a bunch of things that he wanted to talk about today. One of them was the Lakers, and I, I've enjoyed the Lakers thus far. It's been a lot of fun watching Luca and Reeves. I do feel like the bubble might burst at some point because they are hitting a lot of tough shots, but just having the solidness of a DeAndre Ayton, he's not good, but he's solid, and that's sometimes all you need. Like Giannis was trying to drive against him, and he kept dropping the shoulder, and Ayton's body didn't move. It's nice to have a big man that can play. I'd love to have Anthony Davis back on this roster. Kind of forgot what that was like in the season or the half a season he was gone.
So you're prepared to buy into the DeAndre Ayton experience.
I mean,
You're gonna fall. You're gonna fall for the propaganda.
no, but I am starting to fall for Marcus Smart propaganda before he went down. Smart was actually, I said this at the start of the year. He's going to start off getting 20 minutes a night. By like December, he'll be down to 15. By January, he'll be like, okay, we have to give him 6 minutes so we can try to trade him. Smart's actually been surprisingly good, and that I feel like is setting me up for just a massive failure in fool's gold that he'll drop off at some point. But prior to him getting hurt, he was looking nice out there.
Yeah, one of the team leaders in on-off differential actually.
Mm-hmm.
They're hilariously 10 points better per 100 positions on defense alone when he's on the floor.
Yeah, the thing about this current Lakers group is everyone's willing to shoot threes. Maybe not everyone should, but everyone's at least willing to try to shoot them. And most of the guys try hard on defense. Maxi Kleber's getting a lot of minutes. It's against the Bucks. I don't think he was moving particularly great, but he tried. The Lakers were running four white guys at a time with Reeves, Luca, Jake LaRavia, and Dalton Connect. They all put forth effort, and they were all willing to catch and shoot. Like, it's a fun cluster.
Mm. Um, to your point on, let's get into the Lakers bubble that you foresee potentially bursting. One good sign of playing above your head is outperform your point differential in the early season. A lot of times that'll balance out, and they've got the point differential of like a 500 team. They're exactly 15th in the league, and just winning all these close games.
I do think winning close games is going to be a fairly constant trait of the Lakers.
Yeah.
Just in part, Luca is a great clutch guy. When LeBron comes back, LeBron is good in the clutch. Reeves hits big shots. And they also have a very friendly whistle. I think that cannot be understated when talking about close games.
Mm. Where are we? Lakers are number 2 in terms of drawing fouls and number 12 in terms of getting fouls called against them,
That's
despite
good.
having yeah, it's lower than it
That's
has been,
less
right?
yeah, that's less friendly. I'm like, wait, who's getting more fouls called than the Lakers? Like, is it Houston? Is Houston just beating everyone up on the boards and trying fouls too?
Oh, sorry. To be clear, this is the number I'm giving is free throw rate, so not including non-shooting fouls. It's actually Orlando.
Really?
Yeah, who still, after all of this off season that I praised so much, are still bottom 10 in offense.
It's wild. Wow. I mean, not that they are bottom 10 in offense, but that they are leading the league and drawing the most free throws because that is just unexpected.
Hmm.
But
Um, the team that's third is the Utah Jazz. What for what that's worth?
geez. All right, all right. Would not have guessed that in the next 26 guesses. Would have
Yeah.
gotten it for the 27th. Um, yeah, no, the Lakers have looked good. They've been a fun watch. But back to the other side of this, um, the Luca trade, the Nico of it all. What do you think about Dallas and what they should do? I said it'd stick it out. Are you a blow it up for whatever costs or yeah?
The I mean, in theory, that would be a tempting way to go. Because clearly you're not this idea that you're going to contend now and also in the future. Well, you're not contending now, and so you're in theory burning future assets to be the second worst offense in the entire NBA. But to the point that you made, moving things is not actually that easy. They actually don't have a lot that they can move. They already moved Quentin Grimes last season. Sadly, they couldn't fire Nico before he made that asinine trade. So much gets lost that he traded freaking Luka for Anthony Davis, but also traded Quentin Grimes, who's been really good for Philly last year and this year, and traded him for a guy in whichever Martin it is that's totally unplayable. Um, so they don't have him to trade. Anthony Davis, like we said, is very difficult to move. PJ Washington just extended, so he can't be moved right away. And then like is blowing it up, getting a first round pick for Daniel Gafford? Is that the idea?
I mean, you'd be lucky to get a first round pick for him. And Dallas needs some picks. Do you want to know where their picks are currently headed?
Yeah.
This year, thankfully, they get to keep their first, but they do lose their second. It's in a massive swaps that will end up in either OKC, Phoenix, or Washington. I do just think it is crazy that OKC receives the most favorable of Dallas and Philly's second, so they're going to have the 30,
Yeah.
you know,
You better
31st
hope
pick.
Kyrie comes back next year, because the Mavericks are currently the second worst team in the NBA by point differential. They've managed to get a few more wins than that, where they are what the one, two, three, four, five, six, seventh worst team in the NBA,
Yeah.
sixth worst team in the NBA by win loss. Um, but like they're heading for potentially a top five pick this year. If Kyrie doesn't come back next year, like why would you think it would be much better?
Well, so next year, the 2027 picks are owed to Charlotte if it is not in the top two. So it's got top 1, 2 protection.
Mm,
And the second round pick is going to who Washington or Detroit, Washington receiving the more favorable of either Brooklyn's 2027 second rounder or Dallas's.
wow,
Uh, yeah,
so
those
juicy.
high value second round picks. The 2028 pick is a swap rights deal with OKC. So if Dallas does go the blow it up route and
Mm,
struggles to get out of the lottery, OKC is going to get their 2028 pick, just what the rest of the league needs. Like, if you're the rest of the league, you almost want to offer good value for Anthony Davis, just that way OKC can't have a 2028 pick from him. And then their second's going to go to Indiana. In 2029, Houston will receive the two most favorable picks of Dallas's 2029, its own 2029, Phoenix's 2029, and yeah, just those three. And then Brooklyn will get the least favorable of them.
mm. Well,
So,
that's quite important context to the idea of what do they do, because if you just do decide to go for a blow it up route, as you say, you've got 2 years of potentially having your pick.
one
Um,
year.
yeah, unless it's top two, right? And
Yeah.
so if you do decide to maybe trade in for some younger players, um, like you don't have long before you've got to start contending again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I've heard the talk of like maybe Detroit gets interested because they could slot him into the power forward, and maybe you could get like Isaiah Stewart and Asar Thompson and Tobias, which one is way too much for the Pistons to give up for Anthony Davis, but two, it's like, does that make you good? Is that is that enough? Um, and I think it's too high of a price for the Pistons to pay, and not enough for Dallas to make it worth giving up Anthony Davis.
Hmm. Um, how much of the Maverick struggles this year have you questioning Jason Kidd? Do you do you still have you still confident in him as the long term coach?
No, I was never confident in Jason Kidd. He was a terrible coach with the Bucks. Like he was an okay coach with Portland. He basically got the Mavs job because he was a friend of the organization, had won a title with the team. But like, I don't think there was it wasn't like there was a list of suitors. This wasn't, the Hamptons meetings trying to get Durant for Kidd. It was kind of a last chance.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, looking at how terrible the offense is, um, the fact that has you questioning scheme. So like, firstly, there's not playing a point guard, which there's arguments for that. Their point guards that they do have aren't good, and giving Cooper on ball reps is good for development. So like, there is an idea that maybe that's good. Um, the fact that they ostensibly play two bigs and their small forward is PJ Washington, who's a power forward and who's played some center in his career, and their point guard is Cooper Flag, who's also a power forward. The fact that they are bottom five in offensive rebounding, despite being so big,
Mm-hmm.
in a league where the sort of consensus has come to the understanding that offensive rebounds have been undervalued and that there is a lot of value to be gained from getting on the glass more. Um, like that's kind of crazy as well.
Yeah, I think I don't have picks, but they do have assets that they could trade. Um, but like, there's a reason why you fired your GM. There's, I, I was trying to pull up the letter right here. Did you read the Mavs owner's letter to the fans?
No, I didn't see it.
It does
Like
not
like
mention Nico, or it does not mention the Luca trade, but it
mm,
goes from like a 2 years ago we were in the NBA finals, and now we've
and now
regressed and we
something
don't.
has changed.
Yeah, now something has changed. We don't feel like we're making the right steps we need to win a championship. And I'm like, huh? What was that change? Maybe maybe don't trade away the like superstar young player. But I don't know. What am I? Who am I to say? I'm just a guy on the internet. But in somewhat similar news, uh, the New Orleans Pelicans have released Willie Green and have promoted James Borrego, former Charlotte Hornets coach, to be their interim head coach after they too have gotten off to a struggling start. Have you been watching much of the Pelicans?
Um, no, actually, and I normally do. Um, it's this move was maybe foreshadowed by the fact that they wouldn't allow James Borrego to go to the Knicks, who asked for permission to hire him. They're like, no, 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 we need him for something. They're like,
We
hey,
may need
can
him
we hire
because
James
things
Borrego? They're
could
like, no, no,
horribly
no, no,
wrong.
no, 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 we need him for something. You'll see, maybe.
Yeah, I think I realized that the Pelican season was completely off the rails when it turned on a game and they were starting DeAndre Jordan, whom I did not know was in the league because he really wasn't.
Yeah, they signed him and then they immediately threw him out. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah. No, they signed him, they started him, and then threw him out.
yeah. Um, this is one of those ones where, like, yes, the coaching probably wasn't up to scratch given the fact that they're so egregious.
Mm-hmm.
But like the roster construction also is so so questionable. Um, that like it feels like you know GMs blaming coaches for things that are maybe more their fault.
Yeah. Yeah. The coach did not choose to go out and trade for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, to trade away next year's first for Derek Queen.
To
And
have no to be put in a situation where DeAndre Jordan is a viable player.
yeah. Which, it's what's sad is I kind of bought in. I was like, this is going to be the year the Pelicans break free. Um,
Yeah, me too. I've predicted them to be, well, predicted them to be in the 30s.
would it kill New Orleans to pay for like a medical training staff? Could they not lead the league in games missed by players making over $5 million a year? Like, is that too much to ask?
Well, is this a Anthony Davis destination?
I don't think they'd take him back. Also,
Um,
what are they giving up? Who who on this roster would you trade for Anthony Davis?
do you
Zion?
think that
Do a first for first? Hey,
do it?
Davis
Um,
out, Zion in. Zion out, Davis in.
do you think if you have an incredibly injury-prone player and then put him with an incredibly inept medical staff, that they fuck it up so badly that it actually becomes right?
No.
Like a broken clock sort of thing.
Hey, Dylan, how are your Clippers doing? How's that broken clock doing?
Just lost by 2 to the 76ers.
Uh huh. Uh huh. I thought you said you found your fifth starter. That's Kobe Saunders.
Yeah, Kobe Sanders is the savior.
Oh my goodness. No, this is a exercise in malfeasance and dysfunction, and I do need to watch more Pelicans. Because from what I've seen, Derek Queen has looked solid. He's looked like he'll
Hmm.
be a good enough player. Fears has he drives, he attacks well. Um, the idea of getting these guys could end up working out. They could be solid enough, but the process of how they were gotten probably still not worth it.
Yeah, and the biggest disappointment is that like last year was such a disaster because they're, I mean, outside of Zion, who you don't really count on, like the two most important players, Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, both missed such huge amounts of time and were never really healthy together. Whereas this year they've got 13 games from Trey and from Herb, and they still suck during those.
Hmm.
Like even when both of those guys are on the floor, they still suck.
Can we get Herb on a good team? Like, I feel like I feel like I've had to hear about how good Herb's defense was for years of just like not on Herb, not on Herb, and it's like cool. Can you play games that matter? Can you play games where you're not getting blown out by like 10 to 15 points on a semi-regular basis? Like, because the idea of being a really good defensive stopper, that doesn't necessarily win games. That doesn't necessarily move the needle. Well, if the rest of your team sucks. But like, can we get Herb somewhere that he'll help people?
Do you know who needs more defensive first, zero offense wings? Is Dallas. How about Herb for Anthony Davis?
Phone it in.
Can Herb play point guard?
I mean, they tried to play him at center last year, or because that was their whole grand plan of, hey, we don't have any centers. Let's try Herb at center. So why not try Herb at point guard? He'll defend point guards at least.
He every year of his career has above average assist and assist to usage percentage for his position.
Well, see, he's
I
all
think
set.
that's the size that we need.
God, no. I, this was not our intent to talk about NBA futility today, uh, but we're hitting some futile points pretty early in the year, and earlier today it was also announced that Victor Wembanyama was going to miss some serious time. As I was trying to look through and plan out my 7 games for next week, I kept just running into, oh well, that team has this guy hurt, that team has this guy hurt, and so it's kind of shaping up to be a somewhat depressing week in the league. And are focusing on the firings of Nico and Willie Green uh, are not helping things at all. So should we stick with the trend and discuss what's wrong with the Clippers?
Um, there's yeah, I guess so.
Lay it on me.
um,
Tell me why the Clippers won 50 games last year and suck this year.
uh, I feel like we talked about this a lot last week, turning the ball over a lot, not getting any turnovers on the other end, terrible transition defense, have been sort of surpassed by the league in terms of up tempo ball pressure is now in, and the Clippers don't have the personnel to play that style or against that style. And Bradley Beal has given them absolutely nothing. Chris Paul is washed. Um, Bogdanovich has gone back to being bad again. And so like they maybe this is just what you should expect when you're sort of you know passed by the league. I did have one thing which brought me a little bit of hope, and like the Sixers have been pretty good this year, so losing by 2 points to the Sixers is maybe not as
Dylan.
is not as terrible
Dylan.
as you would think. Um, there was one thing which gave me a little bit of hope, which is that the Clippers starting lineup, um, with Harden, Dunn, Derek Jones, John Collins, and Zubats, which I suppose was not their starting lineup for the most part. Um, that lineup has come around to almost being passable.
Almost being possible.
Exactly. They're only slightly negative with their starters on the floor. No, this is it's hard to see where the improvement is going to come from, which is the big problem with the Clippers.
You've got all of next year to deal with this too, because everyone's basically on 2 year or a year with a player option. Bradley Beal has a player option. Ty Lue
Hey, Nate,
declared,
Bradley Beal's going to be back next year. It's going to fix everything.
yeah, Ty Lue declared him your third best player.
Mm.
So the question is, who is that a shot at? Zoo, Harden, or Kawhi?
Well, Kawhi's been planting trees all season and giving them absolutely nothing on the court, so
Is
maybe it's a
planting
shot at him.
trees is planting trees a new euphemism for bricks? Building
I was
houses,
more
planting
meaning
trees.
I was more meaning for missing time with no clear injury designation, just vague
Ah,
injuries.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Can you guys
Mm.
not waste Chris Paul's final year though? Can like you at least give him some honorary minutes? Is that too much to ask for? Like, if you're
Yeah.
gonna lose, might as well play Chris Paul some.
Yeah. It's really sad that he's washed. This could have been the nice farewell if he could just play 12 minutes off the bench for a good
Mm-hmm.
team.
Mm-hmm.
But the Clippers and he are both too far away from that.
I would have taken him on the Lakers. I would have thought that, hey, let LeBron complete the banana boat. Let him have played with all of the guys. But no,
Mm.
never,
Um,
never's gonna happen.
should we recap your games of the week for the last week?
Uh, Let me just say it was a less than successful games of the week. How many of them did you end up watching?
Um, not as many as I intended to because I came to the realization that they are all pretty much on while I'm at work.
Yep.
And so that made it difficult. Um, I did manage to be impressively wrong on pretty much all of them. So overthought the Spurs versus Bulls and picked the Bulls to, who the Spurs handled. I got the you remember the Cavs were playing back-to-back games in Miami,
Yeah.
and so I made the pick, bet your house on it, that the Cavs were going to lose the second of those two games.
Mm-hmm.
That they're staying in Miami, they're going to lose the second of those two games. Um, they ended up going the other way. They lost the first one and then won the freaking second one. And so what I didn't account for is that they would actually get the South Beach flu for the first game and then spend the next day recovering to then win the game. And so that's that's where I went wrong. Um, where I did go impressively right. Do you remember my prediction for the Hawks game?
It not being a very good game and Laurie Markkinen putting up a ton of points.
It was not just that. Remember, we looked up as part of my prediction what Jalen Johnson's career high was.
And it was that Jalen Johnson would hit a new career high. Yeah, I do remember that now.
Yes. And so my prediction was Jalen Johnson would get a career high. His previous career high was 30 points, and against the Jazz, he had 31. And so I will take a victory lap.
Good, good. Can I tell you my biggest misses of the week?
Mm.
Because I put the Bulls versus the Spurs, and I was like, listen, I'm going to limit myself to one Victor Wembanyama game. I ended up
Mm-hmm,
watching
mm-hmm.
three Victor Wembanyama games this last week.
As you do.
Listen, he's the most fun player to watch, and him versus the Golden State Warriors were just two amazing, electrifying games. First off, the first game, you have both him and Steph Castle having triple doubles, first teammates with triple doubles in Spurs history. And I think Cass was 25 and his was a 30-point triple double. But just insane statistical outputs. And then Curry. Curry will never not be fun to watch. This man does so much with the ball, does so much without the ball, as far as catching it, relocating, or catching it, giving it back up, relocating. Just fun, enjoyable to watch. Very impactful movement. And did you see either the highlight or any edits of the highlight of Victor Wembanyama? It's a baseline out of bounds play, and like Draymond's kind of chest to
Yeah,
chest pushing him away.
they're wrestling for position before the inbounds.
That moment, like Draymond's in his chest, and Wemby like takes a step, buckles down, puts his shoulder into his chest, and that like before the inbounds, I'm like, that's Tim Duncan. That's the meditation. It's the way of the monk, where like, okay, I have this force that's jawing at me, that's pushing at me. Let me take a moment, center myself, and like reposition, get the leverage I need. And then he just catches the alley-oop, jams it on Draymond's face, and screams at him like, shit, that's Kevin Garnett. You went from Tim Duncan to Kevin Garnett in like an instant, taking the best of both of them. It's terrifying. The league should be terrified.
You know, Nate, in the tradition of the Buddha, at the moment just before he reaches nirvana and transcends, you know, the physical consciousness, he's tempted one last time by the demon Mara, and that was Draymond Green in that moment, playing the role of the demon Mara, trying to prevent Wembanyama from ascending. And in that story, the Buddha puts his hands to the earth, and he overcomes the challenge, and he transcends to nirvana. And Wembanyama, his head to the ground, arms in the air, transcends into a basketball nirvana.
Honestly, if the nickname the Alien wasn't so perfect for him, calling him Nirvana would be kind of sick. Maybe we should start that. Maybe we should just call Wembanyama Nirvana.
Or it's like the word that's used for whenever he has just like these ridiculous plays that no one else in the NBA can do.
Just a true basketball Nirvana.
Yeah, he has reached Nirvana. You know, when he does like the step through one-handed dunk without jumping that no one else in the NBA can do, or does like the you know, the up and under alley-oop off the glass to himself that no one else in the NBA can do.
I think you know that you've reached a level of greatness when people are actively trying to scheme to give you new nicknames. Because like the greats don't just have like one nickname; they've got a plethora, and not only that, everyone's trying to get a nickname with Victor Wembanyama. Like him and Steph Castle are Area 51 together because 5'1". Him and Luke Cornett are the French Vanilla together. Like I just I'm so bummed that he's injured. It really threw a wrench in my games for this next week.
Yeah. So what did you come up with for the games of the week?
So I only did Tuesday through Sunday. Monday's
not even worth looking at.
It's just the start of next week.
All right. We need like a new theme song to play. We've got the intro and the outro. We need the game of the week.
Yeah. What? I'll have to. Let's see. What are my options here? The StreamYard preset. We're doing dance pop.
All right. Let's go. Here we go.
There we go.
Game of the week. Game of the week. It's the game of the week. Games of the week. Tuesday through Sunday. This is what you should watch. Games of the week. All right, what do you got for us?
Starting things off very weak on Tuesday, we have the Phoenix Suns visiting the Portland Trail Blazers. Because as much as I am trying to do
Oh,
only
that's not
one,
weak. That's a great matchup.
well, it's a surprisingly great matchup for this year. Neither teams were teams that we really expected to um, be above the eighth seed. We'll say like that. That is probably generous, as I think I said the Blazers would top out as the 10th seed. I thought the Suns were going to be trash, but I've really been enjoying watching this Phoenix team thus far. Where they play with a lot more heart and energy.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks. Anybody that thought that this guy was going to go to China after him and LeBron had their spat, like that's some of the dumbest shit ever. Like Brooks, yeah, he takes bad shots sometimes, but he also plays with enough heart, hustle, and energy that like you live with it. And then on the Blazers side, Tamani Kamara, excellent defense. The team now unshackled by Chauncey Billups, no longer trying to hit those parlays. Been rock solid. Um, Drew Holiday. I thought Drew Holiday was gonna be cooked this year.
Yeah.
I thought it was done, but no, man, man's dropping 20-point double doubles, 20 and 11, and in some games, like been solid. I think it's a lower stakes game, but it's two teams that are on the relatively the same level and should be fun to watch.
I don't. I mean, again, it might not be that low stakes. This could be two teams that are fighting for a playoff seed with the way that they have been able to perform so far and the way that certain other teams have fallen off. Phoenix is
Hmm.
what, the 4 or 5, 6 seed right now, and Portland is in that playing spot, like you said. Like this is actually a really interesting matchup.
Well, good. Glad you like it. That's Tuesdays. Who you picking?
Mm. It's also a really watchable game. Like two fun teams that play hard.
I will say the one thing that
Um,
makes it less watchable for United States or the the majority of U.S. watchers is that it's being played at 11 p.m. Eastern. Like that is a brutally tough time to start a game.
mm, it's probably a good time for me. Maybe I
I
can
mean,
watch it after work instead of trying to sneak it in on the clock.
listen, there's a good chance that if my son wakes me up in the middle of the night or like
You're gonna be locked in. You're gonna be like, oh fuck yeah, the Portland
yeah,
game's on.
yeah, this goes to overtime. I could have gone to bed, had all of my sleep, and wake up before this game is over.
Mm, that's
But
awesome. Um, I mean, Phoenix is one of the hottest teams in the league at the moment. It's hard to really go past them. Um,
it is in
thinking,
Portland if that influences your
mm,
decision at all.
I mean, just thinking matchup wise, is there anything there that can throw it off? Like, I mean, in theory, they've got the personnel to give Booker a really tough time.
Hmm.
Um, maybe also the Suns' lack of point guard play gets exposed by the Blazers' pressure defense. Are the Blazers going to be able to generate shots against the Phoenix defense, which has been really solid? Um,
The one thing that I do think that Phoenix definitely has as an advantage is Portland's been going small a lot when they pivot away from Donovan and Klingon. They've been doing more like I don't know, four wings and a point guard or
yeah.
lineups. Um, Phoenix can play Oso Iguodaro and still have kind of traditional five
Mm,
size. He's not beefy, but he's got the length and can provide the rim protection. But still has enough perimeter game that like you
yeah.
can go
That.
small. He's that good like 4 or 5 blend.
Yeah. He's not going to get like stuck um, in the paint and not be able to close out to Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
Um, just by the way, that small ball lineup that you're talking about, Holiday, Sharp, Kamara, Dini Avdia, Jeremy Grant. Only 91 positions, but plus 20 per 100.
I believe it. I believe
Yeah,
it.
yeah. No, let's go with the Phoenix Suns.
Hell
I
yeah.
picked the right shirt for today. They've been really fun. The Devin Booker being back to being a really good player is so wonderful after he was so inefficient as a scorer last year. Him being back to superstar status, he was hard to rank in our top 100 before the season because it's, you never know what these drop offs, whether that's an indication of a trend or if it's an anomaly. But usage through the roof, efficiency incredibly high, playmaking for his teammates, and fitting in on defense. It's a nice bounce back year for Booker.
Wednesday, we have the Raptors versus the 76ers. Is in
Mm.
Philadelphia. But I figured this is a nice little chance to check in on the the 76ers rookie again, VJ Edgecombe. The Raptors have been playing an incredibly aggressive style of defense, picking up full court a lot more this year. How will Philly's guard duo, VJ and Tyrese Maxey, like handle that? Maxey could just blitz through this and make short work, and this could be a 20-point game by halftime. Or it could be the right amount of pressure, right amount of switchability amongst that kind of wing core of Barnes, quickly, Barrett, and Ingram to really disrupt their offense. And let's face it, Philly's he's not the most unstoppable team. They do have their holes. Embiid hasn't been around a lot of late, and so like Andre Drummond's been the starting center. So this is going to be a game that takes place a lot on the perimeter. What are you thinking here?
No, the Raptors have been maybe the hottest team in the league outside of, the unbeatable Oklahoma City Thunder. 5-1 in their last few games there. If you look at just that stretch, they're fourth on offense and third on defense. And so they've been playing really well. Um, I think this is probably a matchup that maybe does favor them. Looking at uh, I guess the defensive matchups like DeAndre Ayton, Brendan Watford, I don't like as guy. Sorry, Andre Drummond, another center that
Same
I.
guy, same basic
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, 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 yeah. Another one of these. Yeah, you know what's. Um, guys that I don't love in the sort of high-paced ball movement system that Darko has been trying to implement more and more. And then on the other end, uh, like the Raptors have a lot of potential on-ball guys that they can throw at Maxi, who's really been their only efficient scorer. Their offense has really been buoyed by the fact that he just makes every single three-pointer. Um, and so I think that we could be getting a high-scoring game from the Raptors, whose offense has been really good against a Philadelphia defense, which has struggled.
So who you picking?
I'm gonna stick with the red hot Toronto Raptors.
We are in lockstep with these projections. That brings us
Mm.
up to Thursday, where your LA Clippers are being selected for a game of the week. It's them versus the Magic, and I think that
Ooh, yeah.
this is the best Thursday game, in part because the two better games, the 76ers versus Bucks, we just had the 76ers in a matchup, so don't want to go with back-to-back 76ers games. Also, it'd be a back-to-back for them. And then the Hawks and Spurs are going to be without Victor Wembanyama and Trey
And
Young, and
Trey, yeah.
I'm just okay skipping that. So we now have Clippers chance to cue in on how terrible they're doing, and the Magic, who have slowly clawed their way back to 500. It's not anything insane, but I think they're starting to put the pieces together, starting to figure it out. What are your thoughts here?
Um, this might be a team that's a better matchup for the Clippers because they are
They
incredibly
play an
slow.
older style. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, the Clippers defense has been totally destroyed by the fact that they give up a whole lot of transition. Um, we talked about the Magic being the league leader in free throw rate.
Mm-hmm.
They get to the line a lot, and that's able to help their defense get to what are they now, 22nd in the NBA, almost out of the bottom 10. Can they do it? But the one thing that the Clippers defense has done well this year is not foul that much. And so maybe there's a potential good matchup there. On the other side, you do run into the fact that the Clippers offense has also been awful. Um, they aren't shooting well. They're turning it over a ton. And Orlando has pretty good defensive personnel. Their defense is also slowly climbing, where that was a big disappointment early in the season, is that their offense was terrible and the defense also wasn't had fallen off majorly. They're now in the top half of the league in defense, and so it could be a low scoring affair.
Listen, it's not going to be a game for people who don't appreciate defense. We'll say it that much. If you've enjoyed '90s basketball at any time in your life, this is probably going to be the game for you. You're going to see some, or early 2000s even. You're going to see some high post isolations from Kawhi if he's playing, or Paulo Banchero. Regardless, I like the Magic. I thought the Magic were going to be much better than they've been this year. I still kind of keep waiting for them to break through, but as long as Suggs
Mm,
is on that court,
yeah.
uh, I think Suggs defensively could be a nightmare matchup for the Clippers.
Oh
Clippers really
yeah.
struggled with a backup point guard. Harden's good as the primary initiator, but I don't think he's going to want to deal with Suggs for
Yeah.
more than he has to.
And also Suggs is a guy who does pressure the ball a lot. He is leading the league at the moment in terms of steal percentage, as in the percentage of opponents' possessions that he is personally stealing, which is 3%, um, which is pretty insane. And like Harden is, like we said last in the last episode, turning the ball over at an incredibly high rate, and so that's a nightmare matchup for him. Just further, since you mentioned Jalen Suggs, just want to talk about the season that he's having. His scoring efficiency has been phenomenal. He is one of these guys that just shoots really well from three every second year. So he's,
Mhm.
he was 40% 2 years ago and then dropped down to 33, and now he's back up to 40%. Still a really good finisher at the rim, getting into the lane, makes a lot of plays defensively, um, assists up as well. Um, he's been playing this kind of strange style where he's their most important player from a on-off statistical rate. They are plus 18 with him in the game and 27 points worse when he's off. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's that's Nikola Jokic territory.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the way that he plays, he's which is with sort of frenetic energy. Alex Caruso he's been limited to 22 minutes a game.
He's also coming
Um,
back from an injury and been on a minutes restriction to get up to that.
mm,
So
um, but yeah, even in previous seasons, they've never pushed him beyond sort of 28 minutes.
yeah,
Um,
the
and
foul
so
proneness of his attack.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then also yeah. But so it's gonna be interesting to see if they can hold up in the non-Jalen Suggs minutes.
So does that mean you're picking the Clippers? Going to be the homer?
No, I think it's going to be a nightmare game for James Harden, and they don't have anyone
God
to
damn it!
to make
Come
up for
on,
that.
we can't agree on all of these picks.
Yeah, um, it's feeling like a one of those classic 3 for 16, but then also 10 of 12 from the free throw line to balance it out kind of games for James Harden.
Well, that brings us to Friday night, which um, it is once again the NBA Cup night, and maybe at some point we should talk a little bit more about the Cup. Um, Undefeated in Cup play, hey, there's only a handful of teams left at this point, but right now in Group C, every team is 1-1. Group C, of course, contains, because I mean, I assume you know your groups. Most listeners, I assume, know the groups. Group C, the Western Conference, contains the Spurs, the Rockets, the Blazers, the Nuggets, and the Warriors. And so we have a matchup between the Nuggets and the Nuggets and the Rockets, both of whom are 1-1. This group is wide open. Anyone could take it. I feel like it's by far the best game on a Friday night.
Oh hell yeah! And is that at Warriors?
Sorry, Nuggets Rockets at Rockets.
Nuggets, Rockets, right? Oh yeah. Um, that's an equally fascinating game.
Yeah,
Um, man, what a absolute nightmare group. And you got like the Clippers and Lakers group, which is like terrible, right? It's like the Lakers and four bad teams.
yeah. It's the Lakers, the Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Mavericks, and the Pelicans. The Lakers are undefeated in this group thus far.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, I've got the solution. You know how uh, they base the groups on like seeding from the previous season, whereas like a
Mm-hmm.
lot can change year to year.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the fix. You know, like they can't predict. They can't. The NBA can't go out there and be like, well, we think that the Spurs or that the Grizzlies are going to be trash this year, and so we're going to
Mm-hmm.
put them in. Yeah, they can't do that. But NBA in partnership with FanDuel, you defer. You say, well, here's the
FanDuel. It's the
um,
FanDuel tournament. FanDuel will pick the or the teams.
exactly. It's the brackets are formed by the FanDuel odds so that you have some projection baked into it so you don't get these terrible
Wait,
groups.
I just want I just want to question this.
Mm.
Could FanDuel stack the groups and be like, listen, if we put the five best teams in a group stage, that's gonna be way more interesting for betting and way better for Friday night games, which is gonna drive more betting. So we're gonna put the
I don't.
five best teams in the West in Group A and the five worst teams in the West in Group C, because one of the Group C teams has to make it, and then you have this long shot who like the betting odds will be really long. Maybe we can sucker people into the Cinderella story and the parlays.
No, no, no. So that they don't get to pick the groups. All they do is the NBA acknowledges them and then uses their win loss predictions
Mm.
to make the groups.
Ah, all right, all right. That's potentially fair. I'm still just a fan of like just move it to the divisions, and then like
Yeah,
divisions will be
you get to
lopsided. There
build
will be good
rivalries.
divisions. Yeah, you build rivalries. Becomes a regional thing.
Mm.
The Lakers
And
play
even
the
if
Clippers.
even if there's like bad teams like getting to play each other every year, at least like you get like
Yeah.
the rivalry of trying not to be the worst team.
What is it?
You know,
The
you'll get this great 5 year run of the Nets and the Wizards playing each other to
I
be
want to
not the worst team in the league.
I want to say it's the Wizards and the Hornets have a trophy that they give back and forth based on who wins. It's like half of a
Nice.
pig trophy, or it's either them or like the. It's something in the Southeast Division.
Hmm.
Um, I'll have to look it up, but yeah,
That's awesome.
I just have some meaningless games. Like, okay, so Group C instead of being the Spurs, Rockets, Blazers, Nuggets, Warriors is now the Spurs, Rockets, Pelicans, Thunder, Mavs. That's actually a slightly more balanced. You got three good teams, two bad teams. Like that already worked out better. The Group B instead of being Lakers, Clippers, Grizzlies, Mavs, Pelicans is now Lakers, Clippers, Suns, Kings, and Warriors. That's a more well-rounded group already. Like they've overly
Yeah.
complicated something that didn't
it's
need to be overly complicated, and
yeah,
it worked out worse.
it's funny that doing it not randomly has actually led to it being worse. If they just did it randomly, which is, division is random, like there's nothing that
Mm-hmm.
really in theory should correlate between NBA team quality and their division. Um that somehow works out better than their attempts to make it even.
Yep. Yep. But all right, I'm fading. It's getting late over here in the East Coast.
Mm,
So back
mm.
to the game at hand. Nuggets Rockets. You got At the depth improved Nuggets versus the Rockets, whom have a lot of bigs to throw at Jokic. You can keep one of them on him and one of them him prowling the paint. The largest average lineup size I think I've ever seen a team put forth with Şengün, Adams, Jabari Smith Jr., Thompson, and Durant. Like that's gonna make it hard for Jokic's passing. Meanwhile, the Nuggets have finally found their depth. They've gotten some good 3-point shooting out of Tim Hardaway Jr., Peyton Watson. I thought it's been playing some solid defense off the bench. Still trying to get Cam Johnson unlocked, but Aaron Gordon is making a solid All Star bid. Jamal Murray's looked good from what I've seen of him. Who are you taking?
Yeah, and then you combine that with the number one and the number two offense in the league against, and then the number three and number four defense. Um, like that's also really fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to see because, uh, oh, and by the way, Houston, who we said create a lot of their offense with offensive rebounding. Denver's the second best defensive rebounding team in the league, and so there's an interesting negation there. But the league has this theory of figuring out Nikola Jokic, which is put your big on someone else so that he can still bring help, or that you play two bigs, and there's no one that plays two. There's no one that plays bigger um, than
And
the Houston
Houston.
Rockets, and so
Yeah.
they've got Şengün and Adams who they can keep. You know, they can
Clint
swap
Capella to
back
get
and forth.
some garbage time
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah. Or to go in there and foul three times in 6 minutes and then sit back down. Um, yeah, but it's a really interesting matchup because, like I say, you've got Houston, who's the number one offense, up against Denver, who's the number three defense. We'll get a test of that. And then Denver, who's the number two offense, against the number four defense in Houston. You've got the Rockets, who are the number one offensive rebounding team, against the Nuggets, who are the second best defensive rebounding team. You've got the um, Denver, who's top five in drawing fouls, against the Rockets, who are number one in not fouling. And so it's going to be an interesting matchup, and just in terms of these are two teams who have the potential to really disrupt the way that the other succeeds. And in these kind of matchups, you sometimes defer to best player in the game makes the difference. And so we'll see whether Nikola Jokic can overcome.
I mean, speaking of the best player in the game, do you know what he's averaging in the month of November thus far?
No, something ridiculous.
34.6 points, 12 boards, 11 assists, 1.9 steals, um, while shooting. God, it's ungodly. While hitting 71.4% from the field, 54.5% from three, and
Oh
then a
my god!
measly 88% from the free throw line.
Wow. It's like he sees well, I'm sure he doesn't care, but as much as NBA fans are ready to be like, oh my god, Victor Wembanyama, what are we gonna do with this? Like, this guy's just dominating.
Mm-hmm.
Jokic is just like, I'm just gonna get a 35-point triple double on 80% from the field
Make it look
and
effortless.
make it look effortless. Oh, and also, by the way, I'm gonna be top three. My team is gonna be top three on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, he's already at
With my supposedly third scoring option being absolutely nothing.
he's he's already at 7 triple doubles. Did you see him giving Westbrook crap about how he's gonna break the triple double record this season?
No, it didn't.
Yeah, he was saying something along the lines of like, yeah, no, I'm gonna break the triple double record. I'll do it when he's in the building in this year.
Oh,
Like
what a
not only
legend.
am I gonna go for this, I'm gonna do it against him. Thus far, his two games against Sacramento though, neither of which were triple doubles. So Just putting that out there. I'm
Mm.
taking the Nuggets. I'm not betting against Jokic, but uh, where are you at?
Yeah, no, I'm going that way as well.
All
Um,
right.
one more thing that I didn't mention, the no, never mind, never mind.
All right. Saturday's game. In case you just want a nice, relaxing Saturday afternoon, you've got the Pistons versus the Bucks. Giannis did exit the Bucks Cavs games today. Unclear if that's a tweak or a major injury. Um, if it does become something bigger, maybe we flex out this game. You know, flexing games is part of the NBA lexicon nowadays. But uh, if not, you've got Jalen Duren on an absolute tear offensively and on the boards. He's added so much more to his offensive repertoire. He's rolling better. He's catching lobs better. He's doing more out of the post, more out of the on-ball touches that he's getting, and still being a dominant rebounder. Cade is running the floor, looks very comfortable as the offensive focal point, and on the Bucks, I mean, and the Pistons are 12-2, just an outstanding start. You want to talk about one of the hottest teams in the league, and the Bucks got waxed by the Lakers. Second night of back to back for them, didn't look good, but in general have been very solid this year. Doc Rivers, you might. How do you feel about Doc Rivers? I feel like you might have a slightly more positive feelings about him coming from his time with the Clippers.
I don't think he's a bad coach. He gets kind of shit on for his playoff failures, where Tyler, who's unanimously considered a great playoff coach, has struggled in the same way with the Clippers. And so yeah, I think Doc probably gets unfairly critiqued.
I I'll
He's probably
push.
like the 16th best coach in the NBA.
I think he gets fairly critiqued for playoff failures, but what he doesn't get is fairly praised for uh, outperforming with lesser guys. Like what he did with the Clippers in those last couple of years without Chris, without Blake. The Danilo Gallinari team that made the playoffs and pushed the
Yeah,
Warriors. Like
but one of my favorite teams of all time.
he's doing that again with Milwaukee, just kind of taking guys off the scrap heap. The Lakers were waxing him, and then coming out in the third quarter, it's like, all right, Derry Bird's now going to just start catching and shooting. Like I think at the first 8 points of the quarter, just off of very designated finds in some plays. They're Doc is earning his stripes and is looking in solid. Plus, this is a Midwest matchup. The two teams on the opposite side of the lake. A lot of shit between in these states. Where are your thoughts on Pistons Bucks?
Um, I'm worried that you're going to get that thing that can sometimes happen where an elite defensive team plays a team that in theory they is sort of evenly talented as them, or should perform in an even way, and then the defensive team just clamps down so hard that it becomes a total blowout. um and you know is Ryan Rollins going to be able to, as their arguably their best offensive player, what a great find for them, is he going to be able to create sufficient offense against one of the best defenses in the league?
Hey, Ryan Rollins
Um,
cooks.
yeah, well, yeah, for sure. He's a guy that loves to get to the rim and
This
loves to
game's gonna
get
go fast.
into the paint. What was that? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I froze. I was saying this game does have the major potential to go downhill
Mm,
very quickly.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's a potential styles issue. But I do agree with you on the Doc Rivers points. And AJ Green is the exact kind of player. If you look at, you know, not that he's on par with talent, but if you look at the great Doc Rivers teams, they had Ray Allen or JJ Redick at the two. He loves to have a movement shooter out there,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so he's a guy that's going to be able to play the Doc Rivers style, and all of the Bucks are making their threes at the moment, pretty much. Outside of Kyle Kuzma, who we don't really expect much from, and so
No.
like maybe that's a way that they can create an offensive advantage. But I think that this is a game where the Pistons will have a chance to really flex their defensive muscle and really just lock down.
We gotta find a game we disagree on, but it's not gonna be Sunday's game either, because if I read to you the slate of Sunday game options, you'll see that I was very limited in who I could pick. Because if we're limiting it to just one game per team during the week, well, we couldn't take the 76ers Heat because we already had 76ers versus Raptors on Wednesday. We couldn't take Magic Celtics because we already did the Magic versus the Clippers. Can't do Clippers Cavs because, once again, Clippers have been selected. Can't do Nets Raptors because Raptors have been selected. Trailblazers Thunder. Once again, Blazers have been selected. Can't do Suns Spurs because the Suns have been selected. So that left just 2 game options.
Mm.
And Dylan, how excited would you be about a Hornets Hawks game? Is that really moving the needle for you?
It's it's closer to watching paint dry in terms of excitement.
That's just mean. Con Knipple has been enjoyable. The Hornets, I will say, are at least a fun watch. Like they might lose, but they're an entertaining brand of basketball. They play fast. So instead, I've gone with another game that may also not tickle your fancy, but Lakers at Jazz. I think we have a
Okay,
good
I
chance.
take it back. Give me the damn
I,
Hawks game.
I think we have a good chance of seeing a 50-point game that night, whether that be Luka, whether that be Lauri Markkanen, or I think there's a good chance that this could be LeBron's first game. LeBron officially rejoined the Lakers. He could technically play on their Tuesday game, which is also against the Utah Jazz.
Oh,
But
they called him up from the G League.
they called him up from the G League. He's returned. You know, his son dapped him up on the way in. Was like, God, Pops is finally here. Like,
Welcome to the big team.
yeah, yeah. It's really nice of the Lakers to employ, Bronny's dad, so that way he can play with his father. Because, bringing him back from the G League. But I think there's a decent chance that this is LeBron's first game.
All right, then I'm all in. Actually, miss LeBron. Like, you sort of get like with many things, you get complacent, and then the absence has
Yeah,
been notable. So
I think
I'm actually excited for his return.
I think as much as LeBron is not the LeBron that we saw in 2020 or 2016 or 2012, like LeBron has aged quite a bit. Um, just watching what Chris Paul has been in Chris Paul's limited minutes this year, like I'm sad that we're gonna soon have a league without LeBron, and I kind of just want to enjoy whatever good basketball he has left, even if it's not like A plus LeBron, if it's like a solid B or a B minus LeBron, like I'm still kind of here for it. I'm still kind of in. I'm
Mm.
hopeful that he doesn't disrupt the Lakers' defense too much. Playing him, Luca, and Reeves at this stage of LeBron's career could be a pretty big defensive sieve, but I don't know. I'm excited for it. I want to see it, and I think Utah is a pretty low stakes way to bring him back.
Yeah, and stylistically, I think he improves the Lakers a lot too from a watchability perspective. LeBron, in every year of his career, um, going back to 15-16, has been 90th percentile in terms of his team's frequency running off of live rebounds.
Mm,
He loves the head ahead, and so for a really slow team, this is a player who's gonna juice the pace and help them out on that end, which helps with their offense, which is currently right about league average, and then also helps with the watchability.
All right. So instead of saying who we think is going to win, Lakers or
Mm.
Jazz, because it feels like easy money is Lakers, and that also feels like it's just going to jinx it, and they'll end up losing this.
Hmm.
We'll just go with who's going to be the highest scorer in this game. Who you got for the high points man?
Oh, just trying to think. Is there any way that Lowry can do it? Is there anything that suggests that that could be a possibility?
I'm
Um,
taking Lowry. Lowry's my call. Lowry just dropped 49 points the other night. Lowry has already had a 50 piece, which technically so has Austin Reeves.
hmm.
But I think the Lakers split the scoring, and Markkanen gets all the chances.
Lakers do give up a lot of threes, so like maybe that's a chance for Lowry to get some points as well. They don't really have a lot of guys that'll get over a screen, and they have a high opponent 3-point rate, and so that could be a way that he scores. But I will gladly take your bet, and I will go with Luka.
All right, watch Austin Reeves or
Yeah, it's gonna be
LeBron
Austin
come.
Reeves, isn't it?
I mean, what if LeBron just comes back and says this is his first game back and he's dropping 50?
Yeah, he looks at the Utah rim protection and is like, "Oh, I'm just gonna take 27 layups."
Kessler Walker's gone. Okay, Walker Kessler, got this. All right, excellent pod, Dylan. Any final takes?
No, let's I'm excited to be able to turn my fan back on.
All right, Dylan. Where can the people find you this next week?
Where can they find me this next week?
Yeah, they want to track you down. They want
Um,
to go to Hobbiton, find out where you're hanging out.
yeah, down in Bag End, trying to sneak in some games on the clock.
Find me Nate_Hoops on TikTok. Email the show hoopstemple@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.